Let's talk about stress. So here are some signs when we need to detox. Okay, here are some bodily signals that we need to listen to. So if you are developing skin problems, rashes, loss of hair, bags under your eyes, food or scent intolerances, frequent constipation or diarrhea, frequent colds, unexplained headaches, general aches and pains, fatigue, inability to feel rested after sleep, fuzzy thinking, inability to lose weight, you probably need to start detoxing. Okay, does this sound like anyone you guys know? Okay. So the detox mindset, you know, Kirsten mentioned this earlier, like, hey, there are certain detox protocols that, you know, you see advertised and they claim XYZ, and some of them, they can be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, right? So we want to teach you some sustainable ways to forever detox, so your body's always in a form of detoxification that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, right? Our bodies do naturally detox every day. We talked about, we want to avoid these things like cleanses, and we're going to be talking about cleanses later, but have you guys heard of like 3-day or 7-day cleanses, right? And then like I said, we want to focus on sustainable methods to detox. We're going to think of this as a lifestyle, just like chiropractic care, right? So when we think about the systems of our body that helps us detoxify, the liver is the organ that's the master detoxifier. Are you guys familiar with that, right? The liver actually has over 200 functions, but one of the main functions is detoxification. Okay, so we also not only think about the liver, but the lymphatic system. So throughout, as we've been prepping for this workshop, I've been asking patients, have you ever heard of the lymphatic system? And you would be surprised to know how many people are just, they've never heard of the lymphatic system, right? So this is important. This is how our body works. So all these green vessels, you kind of see how there's like little nodes. Those are the lymphatic glands. Have you guys ever had a swollen lymphatic gland, right? You get a cold and the doctor starts to feel it's all puffy. Well, what's happening is those glands are becoming really active because your body's trying to fight some type of infection, right? So what happens is we get an infection, white blood cells go to that area, they kill the bad guy, and then once it's killed, we got to do something with the dead bodies, right? Not to be too gory, but we have to push those dead bodies essentially through our lymphatic glands, and that goes into our intestines, and then we poop it out. That's how it works, right? So here's a detox paradox. Who in here has actually done a detoxification program? Can you raise your hands? Just two people, 3 people? Okay, so one of the common things that people say when they go on a detox is they actually get sick, right? So it's kind of like a paradox. So anyone want to guess why, if you started to go on a detox or doing something good for your body, why would you get sick from doing that?
Your body is so used to doing it poorly.
Your body's so used to doing it poorly, yes.
And you're bringing out all the things that need to get out.
Yes,
There.
right. So think about a detox. This is like a big war. I think of Braveheart. You guys remember the 3-hour movie Braveheart? My dad always wanted to watch that when I was a kid. Anyway, you have all these soldiers combating each other and people are dying, right? They have all these dead bodies that are sitting around and it's causing toxicity in your blood. So when you're doing something good for your body, you're killing all these bad guys, and the remains, that's what makes you feel sick. Okay, so they release what are called endotoxins. Endotoxins cause stasis. That means they stop, they just sit around, and they cause the flow of bile, which your gallbladder makes bile, and your gallbladder is attached to your liver, and it causes stasis of bile, and you can't push out the bad guys, and you start to get sick, right? So this is called a Herxheimer reaction when you start to do a detox and you get sick. So before you guys do a detox, this is what I would recommend doing: making sure that your gallbladder is well supported, and taking some bile salts. Okay, what bile salts do is they help the gallbladder produce enough bile so that you can push some of this dead, destruction through your system. Does that make sense? Okay. One of my grandmother has issues with her gallbladder, and I recommended Dr. Berg's bile salts to her, and she said it was like a lifesaver for her. So tonight we're going to talk about some environmental toxins as well as food toxins. These are really, if you want to separate toxins, these are the 2 main categories of toxins. What we have in our environments, also what are we putting into our bodies. So number 1 would be what are called endocrine disruptors. These are also known in literature as xenobiotics. There's over 80,000 different kinds, and I promise we're not going to go over all 80,000 of them tonight. But what they do is they mimic estrogen, and they bind onto estrogen in our bodies. And men and women both have estrogen, but we have different amounts. Okay, and what these do is they cause a change in the natural hormones that we have, which can cause excessive weight gain, poor sleep. You can keep going down the list, right? So we find xenoestrogens in sunscreen lotions, insecticides, cleaning detergents, BPA plastic, like in water bottles that we drink that we get from Walmart, right? Those small plastic bottles. If it doesn't say BPA free on it, you know, that plastic is leaching into the water, and we're consuming these endocrine disrupting type particles, right? PCBs, we get these through electrical oils, lubricants, adhesive paints. Now the second one, this is a big one, are heavy metals. You've heard of heavy metals? All right, so there's a bunch of different types of heavy metals, but the big four are mercury, cadmium, arsenic, and lead. Okay, and some secondary ones are aluminum, copper, zinc, and thallium. These heavy metals are associated with cancer, ADHD, autism, dementia, and Parkinson's disease. You know, some of them can be related to the types of work that you've done in the past, like if you've been in construction, maybe working in a printing press, a salon, like all those, you know, fumey particles that you spray out of the bottles, right? Mechanics are often exposed to these. And another big one would be forever chemicals, or something called like microplastics. This is becoming like really popular. You guys hear about, there was a guy a few months ago that he passed away, and they did an autopsy of his brain, and they found like the equivalent amount of plastic in his brain that would be the equivalent of like a small plastic spoon. All right, so we're finding through what we're consuming, these small particles in the water, in the food that we eat, they are leaching in, you know, staying in our brains. So we call these PFAs, these forever chemicals. These are synthetic compounds made in the 1940s. We find this in nonstick cookware, food packaging, plastics. They're often called forever chemicals because the chemicals that bond them together, they're very hard to break down in nature. So they last, you know, forever, quotations, right? It's estimated 98% of people on Earth have traceable PFAs in their blood. So I'll just let you guys in on a secret. It's almost impossible in our environments to get rid of everything. But you guys remember when we looked at that health continuum? When we think about chronic disease, it's a slippery slope of all the small, minor things that we do that accumulate over time, right? Whether it's the food, the environment, the lack of exercise, the stress, it keeps building up, and then that's what causes a breakdown. So if we can make minor changes and keep stacking these things up, are we going to go towards the death side or the healthy side? We're going to go towards the healthy side, right? Okay. Yep. And then these forever chemicals are linked to increased risk of cancer. Okay, so let's go over some tips when it comes to microplastics and forever chemicals. So I wanted you guys give you some very simple, actionable steps that you could simply go on Amazon and buy right now and get these things that you need for your life. Okay, so avoid plastic cutting boards. Okay, now the benefit of a plastic cutting board is it's very easy to clean, right? You just rinse it off. But when you cut into that, when you put your meat or you put whatever on there and you start cutting into it, and you, with a serrated edge or whatever, you make these micro cuts, and the plastic leaches out into the food that you're consuming. Okay, so I recommend a wood cutting board. Okay, now the drawback to wood is if it's not cleaned appropriately, then bacteria can, you know, stay on that surface. So we want to be sure that we're cleaning it regularly. Okay.
Yeah.
Glass would be perfectly fine as well.
How about marble?
Marble as well, right? So just avoid the plastic. That's what I'm saying. Just avoid the plastic. Okay, avoid dishwasher pods. Okay, when you think about the little pod that you throw on your clothes, right? It dissolves, and all that plastic just gets on your clothes, and now you're wearing these micro, you know, particles all day. Biodegradable coffee filters and tea bags. So if you drink tea or coffee, these are lined with a small film of plastic. Okay, and then you're heating it up at a high temperature because you're putting in, like boiling water, and then you're drinking these micro, plastic particles. Okay. Okay. How about salt? Okay. If you get it from an underground cavern, so if you read, it'll say, if you want to see the salt on the label, it'll say from an ancient source. What that means is they're getting it from like an ancient cavern, which is underground, and it's not coming from the sea. We have a lot of plastic in the sea, and where they get this salt from, there's a lot of plastic or microparticles in plastic in the salt that we consume. Okay, so like Redmond salt. Have you guys ever heard of Redmond salt? Redmond salt would be a good thing that you could buy. It will say on the label from an ancient source. Cool. Right? We want to avoid foods packaged in plastic, right? So if you're getting things in boxes, you're going to have some lining of plastic, whether it be cereal, right? That's all in a plastic bag, right? So that's a whole different topic as far as like the food label workshop that we talked about. Is are we getting the appropriate food source, in our daily diets? Okay, glass storage containers, those are what we want to strive for. Get rid of the Tupperware. There's a reason why there's no more Tupperware parties, right? Right? We want to avoid heating our food in a plastic container, like in a microwave, right? That is definitely a no. Here's a simple one. Get a bamboo toothbrush, right? Instead of a plastic toothbrush that you're putting in your mouth twice a day, get a bamboo one. It's made out of bamboo. Right, you get one for $5. Stainless steel water bottle. That's an easy one. I got mine right here with a BPA-free straw. Okay, plastic-free sponges. That way your cookware is not leaching that plastic on it. This is one that surprises people. Avoid canned foods. Right, you think about canned foods like metal, but the inside is coated with plastic. Right, so soda cans, right? There's plastic all over that, right? So those are some pretty easy, actionable steps that we could all take, right? That's some really easy when it comes to microplastics. We want to go for stainless steel or ceramic pots. Okay, the Teflon coated. When we heat Teflon, these microparticles go up into the sky or into the air, and then we start breathing them in. We find this Teflon coating in like air fryers. You guys make sense? Okay. Yeah.
What about
Cast iron. Cast iron, to my knowledge, would be good, but for like everyday use, I'm not so sure. I'd have to look into that. I love cast iron. I'd have to look into that. As long as you're not putting on like a nonstick spray on the cast iron, I think that would be fine. But that specifically, I don't have an answer for. But I'd love to find out for you. Okay, we talked about do not microwave food in plastic containers. We want to go for and gravitate towards natural-based fragrances and essential oils. We want to choose organic, locally grown foods. We always also, this is not on here, but we also want to wash our fruits. When we go to the grocery store and we don't wash the fruit, they coat like an apple. If you there's wax and all sorts of gunk on it.
The fancy food spray is just white vinegar and water most of the time, so don't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of plastic.
BPA water bottles, and it's like a little triangle symbol, and it'll say BPA free, right? So that's what we want to look for when we're drinking water. We want to choose chlorine-free products, unbleached paper products like tampons, menstrual pads, toilet paper, paper towels. Chlorine-free for sure. We want to avoid creams and cosmetics that have toxic chemicals and estrogenic ingredients such as parabens. Parabens are known to have a link towards cancer, so this would be the makeup products that we put on our face every day, right? Not Gary though; he doesn't need makeup, right? Okay, hormone-free meats and dairy products, so avoid hormones and pesticides, right? So if you see the reason why farmers give cows antibiotics, it's not to help them get healthier, right? They give them to fatten them up, right? So when they give them these types of hormones and they spray them with pesticides, like that's leaching into the meat that we consume. Okay, so the best that we want to see USDA organic, non-GMO labeling on that. And if you're confused with that or that's new to you, check out our food label workshop. It's on YouTube. Right, so let's go over some heavy metal tips. Okay, so you can, a doctor can order a heavy metal blood test. So if you are concerned that you have heavy metals, there's a blood test for that. Let's talk about food. So chlorella is a supplement that you can take that helps limit the amount of heavy metals. Charcoal, they have charcoal toothpaste. Right, so you can get your bamboo toothbrush with your charcoal toothpaste, right? You got good oral hygiene. Go dentists. We love dentists, right? Okay, you could do a charcoal filter, like a charcoal water filter. You could put your water and it can clean out some of the gunk in there. Milk thistle. This is a supplement that you can take. It's very good on detoxification of heavy metals. Bone broth. We like the brand called Bonafide. We get it at Whole Foods. It has a USDA organic label on it, which is what we like. Cilantro, that's a really big one. You can have cilantro, like a tincture of cilantro that you take, put that under your tongue or helps you detox. Bentonite clay, has anyone heard of bentonite clay? Right, bentonite clay, this has been used for hundreds, if not thousands of years, that people will put on their hair, on their skin. It helps clear up rashes, but you can actually ingest bentonite clay in small amounts to help your body detox, right? And we actually have some for a lucky guest tonight. Who's our lucky guest who's going to win some bentonite clay? Eileen, let's get you some bentonite clay. Okay, so this is Sunny's number 7. This is what it looks like, right? So 1 tablespoon. 1 tablespoon in the morning, 1 at night. And this is for you.
Thank you.
Now go easy on that. You only want to take that 5 to 7 days in a row and then take a break afterwards. Too much will kind of gunk you up and cause some constipation, but it's perfectly clean, perfectly normal to take it.
What about diatomaceous earth? And I don't know about absorption abilities, but it does have some other attributes that you might, I'm not sure if you've heard anything about.
I can't with certainty speak on that. I have heard of that, but I don't have a huge background in that per se. So, if you've been to our Better Results Faster workshops, we always talk about getting some good probiotics in our stomach lining. If you're not consuming fermented foods and you're consuming an American-based diet, the gut microbiome in your stomach is most likely nutrient deprived, and we want to give those we want to change that environment in our gut so we can appropriately detoxify. Okay, if you guys need any probiotics, come to the workshop, we'll give you a discount. We use Dr. Mercola brand. Let's talk about things for the clean house. Okay, this right here. Anyone heard of Branch Basics? Branch Basics. This is a non-toxic plant-based cleaner for your house, biodegradable. You can get this at Target or Amazon. This is one of the cleanest products that you can use in your house. Okay, this is what we use in our house, and there's so many applications. So it's essentially one. You have the fluid, but when you mix it with different levels of water, you can use it with different applications throughout your house. You can use it to wash your hands. You can use it to clean your dishes. You can use it to clean your bathtub, right? So this would be a non-toxic thing that you can put around your house, and now you can have a clean house.
Better than Windex?
Yes, heck yes, right? Okay, here's another one. Murray, he likes to make jokes. Okay, so here's something. This would be greater than Tide, right? Who in here washes their clothes with Tide, right? Very toxic. Okay, so Molly Suds, not again non-toxic plant-based ingredients, free of formaldehyde, fragrant-free, paraben-free. There's Epsom salts in this. Sodium carbonate is sourced from a Green River Basin in Wyoming. There's only 4 active ingredients in this, but this can really do a good job of cleaning your clothes. And we're going to give someone some Molly Suds.
Plastic pot.
This is for clothes, you said?
So the one that we have, it's a biodegradable one. It's good. It's good.
It's a pod.
It's biodegradable. So it's not. Yeah. It's good. I promise.
It's a good pot.
Okay, let's see. Mary.
Mary? Which one? Mary. Hey, we got this for you. These are actually not pods, so don't freak out. All right. So clean that with your clothes.
And where do you get them?
So I bought that off of Amazon. Yep. All right, let's talk about the ultimate detoxifier. So any WWE fans, this is the Ultimate Warrior here. All right, I wouldn't want to get in a fight with him. All right, okay. The ultimate detoxifier is called glutathione. Anyone ever heard of glutathione? Yeah, it's a big one, right? So this is the primary antioxidant made by the liver, is glutathione. Okay, it binds to toxins like heavy metals, alcohol, medications that we take, and it helps recycle other antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E, and it's linked to reduction of cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, reduction in cardiovascular issues. Things that we can do naturally to increase our glutathione would be, so if we go back for just a second, so this is the chemical form of glutathione. You see how it says glycine right there? So if we increase foods that have naturally occurring glycine, we're going to increase glutathione. So this would be collagen. Now, taking collagen supplements are good, but it's always going to be best if you take it directly from the source, like bone broth. Believe it or not, Jell-O has a lot of collagen in it. It has gelatin in it, which your body makes into collagen. Right, so we want to be healthy Jell-O as best we can. Chicken and fish skin has a lot of that. I really like chicken skin. I'll go to Whole Foods and I'll get the rotisserie chicken, USA organic, of course. And then the first thing I do before it even gets in the fridge, it's a naked chicken. All that skin's gone. Right, that's what I eat. We want to increase sulfur foods. Okay, sulfur foods increase glutathione. So this would be garlic, onions, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage. You got it right. Right. These are all the best sources that you can get to improve your glutathione. So in other words, eat your vegetables. Right. Okay. If you want to go in the deep end of glutathione, you can get glutathione injections. They may cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. But if you want to sustainably do this, eat your vegetables. Okay. Lifestyle. So not exercising, having a lot of mental stress, smoking, lack of sleep, this all decreases our glutathione levels. So, walking outside right now, it's 70-some degrees. It's free. You don't need a membership. You can increase your glutathione levels. Okay, let's go over the main food toxins. Five main food toxins. Okay, first one, for sure, refined sugar. Okay, refined sugar increases pain sensitivity. We store excess sugar as fat. And it also depresses our immune system. This is not on here, but 100 grams of refined sugar, which is the equivalent of 2 Cokes, 2 12-ounce cans of Coca-Cola, will depress your immune system by 40% up to 5 hours. Okay, and just think about that. When a lot of people wake up, I pay attention to what you guys bring into the office or what's in our garbage cans or what is on. I do. I really do. I don't know. What is this? Hey, there's Pepsi right here. Someone's drinking Pepsi. Right? So sometimes in the morning, we'll see a patient with a big 32 ounce of, I don't know, like a Scooter's coffee, like a frappuccino or whatever they call it, Caramelicious, right? That's the first thing they're putting in their body. They're already depressing their immune system before they really get started with their day, right? Dairy. Okay, now as a caveat, not all dairy is bad, but when we think about dairy, we want to get raw dairy as much as we can, okay? Now, in Nebraska, you cannot buy raw dairy and drink it, as in milk, okay? Unless you buy it from the source at the farm, okay? There is a farm called Manly View Farms. It's about 30 minutes south of Papillion that you can go directly there and you can buy from the source. But you can still get raw, unpasteurized cheese at Whole Foods, Costco, you name it. That is going to be superior to a pasteurized type of cheese. When we're consuming pasteurized cheese, they strip away all the nutrients from it, most of the nutrients, and what you're left with is essentially cow pus, and you're consuming that. That's essentially what pasteurized cheese is. Okay, 65% of the world population has a dairy intolerance. This leads to IBS, autoimmune problems. Grass-fed dairy is going to be the best. Okay. Number 3 would be alcohol. Alcohol is considered a poison. It is a poison to the human body. If we have this one Michelob, are we going towards disease or health? We're going to go towards disease. Even in moderation, when we're putting bad things in our body, we're going towards disease. Okay. Contributes to fatty liver, and if our liver gets fat around it, the less detoxification our liver is going to have. Okay. Anti-nutrients would be the 4th one. So anti-nutrients, these contribute to leaky gut. Last year we did a workshop on gut healing, and we really dove into leaky gut and anti-nutrients, but an example of this would be gluten. Gluten is an anti-nutrient. Gluten is actually man-made. Gluten is not a natural forming substance. So when you put gliadin and glucogen together with water, and that's what makes bread spongy, okay? We find gluten in bread, beer, sauces. This causes disruption in our gut lining and leads to these toxins leaching out into our bloodstream, okay? Nightshade vegetables, lecithins or lectins. Lectins are also known as anti-nutrients. Tomatoes, potatoes, pepper, eggplants, legumes like lentils, beans, peanuts, and chickpeas. These are all high in lectins, which again cause disruption in the stomach lining as well as our intestinal lining. So we want to try to avoid these as much as possible. I have heard that the great majority of lectins in tomatoes comes from the skin of the tomato. So if you're meticulous, peel the skins. Okay. Okay. Another big one, the last one, as far as the 5 main food toxins, are the hydrogenated oils. So you guys have probably heard us talk about, as far as this baseline supplements that you should be taking should be omega-3 fatty acid. Okay. Now, hydrogenated oils are very high in what's called omega-6 fatty acid, which is very inflammatory. Okay. And if you eat the standard American diet, the general rule of thumb is you want a 1-to-1 ratio of how much omega-3 and omega-6 that you're eating. The standard American, it's a 10-to-1 relationship. For every omega-3, they're getting 10 omega-6 from all these bad oils that we're consuming. Sunflower oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, grapeseed oil, corn oil. So,
Is sesame oil in that?
sesame seed oil, I know sesame seed oil would be in that, yes. When it comes to these oils, we want to limit as much as we can, because if you're buying like fish oil or omega-3 supplements, you're not going to get benefit until you cut out the other stuff. Does that make sense? Right? So extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oils, those are like my go-to 3 that you want to be consuming food in. So what you have to do though is you have to look at the packaging of the food that you're consuming. If you don't read the label, it's not going to matter. Whether it be chips, there was a chicken salad. There was curry chicken salad that I wanted to buy at Whole Foods. I said, hey, I love curry. I love chicken salad. I want to buy this curry chicken salad. And I read the ingredients, and we got sunflower oil in our curry chicken salad. It's like, really? Why do I need sunflower seed oil in my chicken salad? Sorry, I'm getting off my soapbox. Okay, we talked about cleanses. When I hear a cleanse, or when you guys hear a cleanse, do you ever think of this? Like, that's what it kind of seems that it's marketed as, this Drano. Like, you take this, and we're going to cleanse your body. We're just going to get rid of all the bad gunk, and you'll be perfectly fine. It takes 5 minutes, right? Okay, so just a caveat. Juicing fruit is not bad. However, depriving yourself of essential nutrients while consuming high amounts of sugar is bad. Okay, I like to juice. I like to juice all sorts of things. But juicing, when we do these types of cleanses, this is very high in fructose. When we think about almost any juice that you are going to juice, it's going to be high in fructose. Fructose, I'll explain that in a second, but some of the marketing that goes through these, notice how they're all like different colors, right? We love colors, right? My 1.5-year-old, she loves colors, right? So that makes it more appealing to buy, but then they label them, they give funny names, and they say, if you take this green goddess, you're going to wake up feeling like a goddess, right? If you take this red, you're going to be super strong, right? So they do a really good job at marketing these, but when we eliminate the fiber from the plant, that's what helps us get rid of the excess sugar. I like to say that God gave the antidote with the poison, and when we eat fruit, if we consume fruit that has skin, it has lots of fiber, and then the sugar will not stagnate in our body, and we can get rid of it. When we juice it, we get rid of the fiber, and then the sugar stagnates and causes problems. Does that make sense, guys? Right?
I need about 10 oranges for a glass of juice, like a big one.
Right? Have a little bit of pulp in there, right? Okay, so this excessive sugar will spike the blood sugar, and the excessive fructose, it builds fat around the liver. So have you guys ever heard of like intermittent fasting? Right? So the real benefit of a juice cleanse is not the juice itself. It's actually the fasting that you're doing. Your cells go through what's called autophagy, and they become resilient during this stage of intermittent fasting. And our brains, the only food that our brain consumes is carbohydrate, believe it or not. And this is what keeps us essentially from not croaking out and dying, is the juice, right? So it's not the real benefit of the juice. It's actually the intermittent fasting that you're doing, right?
What are those things in your picture? Is that like that naked juice, or what is that?
This is called PUR. They got raw red cocoa protein, sunny citrus. Oh yeah, and guess what the cost of this 7-day protocol is? It's about $250 to $300 for that one specifically, right? And some other ones, a lot of these cleanses range from $100 to $300 for maybe $50 worth of fruit, right? Right. So just save your money, and it's in plastic bottles. There you go. Let's go over some foods that help your liver. Okay, we talked about cruciferous vegetables. These are a must. They increase bile salts, which we talked about that before. They help your liver breakdown problems. Fresh garlic, it's a natural antibacterial. Turmeric. I learned that this is actually pronounced turmeric. I always say turmeric, but it's T-U-R, that's turmeric. Turmeric. Learn something new every day. Okay, helps with heavy metals. Beets. Beets protect the liver cells. Okay, mushrooms. Mushrooms are very high in glutathione. Avocado decreases excessive inflammation. We talked about extra virgin olive oil, decreases fat around the liver. Now, if you went to our food label madness workshop, does anyone remember some of the other things we want to see on the label with extra virgin olive oil? Cold pressed. In a glass container, right? One source. Hallelujah. Let's go, guys. Good job. Right? Okay, so just so you guys are aware, again, I'm not like bad on fruit. Fruit is good. You want to eat fruit, okay? But here's the fruits on the left that are high in fructose that are going to really spike your blood sugar. versus these types of fruits over here. So if you want to take a picture of that, it's really helpful, especially in the morning. Those are the types of fruits that you want to stay away from.
What is at the bottom under the kiwi?
Under the kiwi. You know, I don't know. I noticed the same thing when I looked at that. Gooseberry? Hey, maybe a gooseberry. Look up a gooseberry.
Gooseberry pie is delicious.
Yeah. Stay away from the gooseberry pie, right? Okay. So let's go over some like day-to-day things like, okay, how could I apply some of these? Like if I had a protocol, like what would be my protocol if I were to just wake up and what would I do? Okay. This is what I do. Okay. So if you're going to go on a detox 1 week before, you know, supplement with some bile salts, get your body prepped and ready for all the havoc that's about to happen in your body. All right. This is going to be good havoc because we're killing all these bad guys. Now, if you have hyperthyroidism, celiac disease, or Crohn's disease, I would stay away from taking bile salts, okay? Now, celery juice can increase natural bile salts. I'll be the first person to admit, I hate celery. I hate celery juice. But whenever me and my wife get celery and you juice the celery, that celery will go through you and those bile salts are really active and you will cleanse whatever you need to get out of your body very fast, right? So too much will cause diarrhea, okay? So start the morning with some lemon juice. I would get some, maybe a teaspoon, half a teaspoon of lemon juice, put that in about 8 ounces of water. Drink that the first thing that you wake up. Don't consume anything for about 30 minutes. Really easy, actionable step. That lemon juice is going to help increase some of those bile salts. Increases cytochrome P450, which is a healthy liver enzyme. That's what you get from the lemon juice. Okay, when you drink your lemon juice, take your probiotic with it. The lemon juice helps you absorb and digest it faster. Okay. Now, you could use a charcoal water filter, or if you have like a really fancy water filter, this can help. The charcoal filter can eliminate heavy metals or the endocrine disruptors. Some simple things like bone broth increases glutathione. We talked about that. Anyone ever heard of MCT oil? MCT oil, right? So you can get a tablespoon of MCT oil. It's what that stands for medium chain triglycerides, and that comes directly from coconuts. So you could put that on, you could put that in your tea in the morning. You could put that in coffee. You could put that in. You could put that. What I like to put it over is I get coconut yogurt. It's called what is it called? Harmless Harvest coconut yogurt is what I like. I'll put that with blueberries and strawberries and a little bit of honey, and I'll put some MCT oil on that. I'll have that for breakfast. All right, so that can help eliminate some fat around your liver, is that MCT oil. Okay, fast until 1 or 2 p.m. and do not eat dinner until 7 or 8 p.m. at night. Okay, so this is more along the intermittent fasting. So there's different types of intermittent fasts. We're not going to go into huge detail about that, but if you want to look into it, find one that works with your lifestyle. And then what can happen is we intermittently fast. We mentioned before our cells go through what's called autophagy, which the cells become more resilient to infections and toxins and so forth, okay? We also obviously want to avoid alcohol, gluten, refined sugar. It's just black and white, guys. If you're consuming that, you're causing gut permeability, which is going to lead to more toxins. You have to limit it as much as you can. Okay. You guys, we gave away the bentonite clay earlier. So you do bentonite clay 5 to 7 days in a month. That can help your. What happens with that bentonite clay is it has negative ions in it, and it kind of like repels, because a lot of the toxins that we consume in our body are also negatively charged, and they repel each other. Okay, so the bentonite clay. Okay, we talked about high choline foods. So, for breakfast, increase eggs. Eggs are good. Pasture-raised eggs. Just so if anyone was confused, eat eggs. They're good. Beef liver, fatty fish like salmon, sardines, tuna. These are all high in choline. We obviously talked about avoid alcohol, avoid the high fructose consumption, not just high fructose corn syrup, but specifically when we're talking about the juice fads. Okay. All right. You guys knew we were going to talk about chiropractic and detox, right? Come on, let's go. Okay. So when we think about chiropractic, guys, you guys have heard me talk about subluxation. Subluxation is a joint problem that leads to a brain problem. Joint problem that leads to a brain problem, okay? The joint problem, the damage to the disc that causes the joint to become misaligned and it irritates the nerves. The brain, it's trying to communicate and relay messages to your stomach, to your intestines, and help your body appropriately detoxify. All of these organs and tissues, they communicate back to the brain. They say, hey, brain, we need more of this. Hey, brain, we need less of this. Subluxation is an interference in that natural communication. Make sense? All right? Okay, so when we think about the nervous system, we have two parts of our nervous system. We have what are called the parasympathetics, and we have the sympathetics. The sympathetic nerves, John, can I have you stand over here for a second? Voluntold. Right? If you want to just face that way for me, John, I'll show you guys some anatomy, right? So on John here, sympathetic nerves are located from L5 through L4 all the way to about C4. Okay, so everything in between my hands, these are where the sympathetic nerves are. Everything up above where my hands are, about C4 to C1, and L5 and below, those are parasympathetic nerves. Those are where those nerves are. Okay. Everyone give it up for John. He's a great demonstrator. Perfect. Okay. So that's where they are. You guys can kind of see this here. So parasympathetics are really down low and up high, and everything else in between is sympathetics. So sympathetics, those nerves activate when you are in a very stressful situation. A grizzly bear is attacking you, right? You need to have those nerves ramp up so that you can hopefully run away from the bear. But when you're trying to go to sleep at night, the parasympathetics, those are the ones that are more engaged and help you rest and digest. Fight or flight, rest or digest. Does that sound familiar? Right? So subluxation in these areas, they cause an inability of those nerves to do what they need to do. Okay? So if someone has a subluxation in C1, for instance, the parasympathetic area, that person cannot rest or digest. So when we start to adjust them, hey, I can sleep better. How many of you guys, since getting adjusted, have noticed better sleep? Can you raise your hands high so everyone can see? Hey, there's a lot of people in here, right? Okay, so this is how our body adapts to these issues. So when we're under stress, our blood sugar goes up, our heart rate goes up, our muscle tone, cholesterol also goes up. Clotting factors that predispose us to having a heart attack or stroke go up. Our sex drive goes down. Blood sugar goes up. Immune function goes down. Serotonin. What's serotonin do, guys? Happy hormones. It helps us sleep, right? Sleep goes down. Digestion goes down. All of these are perfect responses in the immediate term, but if they're long term, this is when problems start to happen. Okay. So, has anyone ever heard of the glymphatic system? I was telling you about, okay. Most people have not heard of the glymphatic system, but what if I cover this G up? Have you guys heard of that system? The lymphatic system, right? We talked about that earlier. If you're like, no, I haven't heard of it. You weren't paying attention at the beginning, okay? So the lymphatic system, remember the lymph nodes, they help your body detoxify. Okay, so the glymphatic system, when I was in school, we're in pathology class and our professor, he's like, okay, guys, we need to pause this lecture because they literally found a different system of the body. They just uncovered this in 2012. So it was originally thought that your brain had no direct connection to your lymphatic system. That's what they taught in school. So there's no way that your brain can have a direct connection to your lymphatic system, and therefore it cannot appropriately detoxify. Until 2012, they're like, actually, that's not true. We found these micro vessels in your brain. It turns out our brains can detoxify. So this is the brain's waste removal network. Has anyone ever heard of cerebrospinal fluid? CSF, right? Very familiar with that, right? So cerebrospinal fluid is what our spinal cord and our brain float in, so that when we lay down and we sleep, our brain doesn't just press against our skull and we like stroke out, right? That's what cerebrospinal fluid is. Okay, so when we have good flow of this cerebrospinal fluid, our brains can better detox. Okay, now one of the things that happens is during sleep, when we're sleeping, our brain cells, they shrink in size because they're rested, and it expands these channels for more cerebrospinal fluid to flow through. You guys with me? I haven't lost anybody, right? Okay, now I want you guys to think for a second. Now, there has not been any studies that have looked at chiropractic care and detoxification. I'm just putting that out there. There has not been. But based off what you've learned, the brain waste removal happens during sleep. Okay? Common benefit of chiropractic is better sleep. More than half the room, when I asked who gets better sleep since getting adjusted, raised their hand. Okay? Right? So you could surmise that or hypothesize that your brain is better suited to detox when you're under chiropractic care. How many of you guys thought that when you first came in the office that we're going to help your brain better detoxify? Like if I would have sat down with you and said, Kirsten, trust me, I'm going to help you detoxify your brain, you'd been like, oh, you're crazy, I'm getting out of here. Right? So this is to point out to you, this is not just about back and neck pain. This is full body health. Okay? So, did anyone find value in this workshop? Who's found value, right? Just about everyone raised their hand. So, if you guys have found value in this workshop, if you guys have found value in the care that you have, our simple ask is if you're finding value is to share this with your friends and family, right? Because there's so many people in our lives that sometimes I'll talk to patients like, hey, who do you know who needs to see a chiropractor? And it's like, well, everybody needs to see a chiropractor, Dr. D. And I was like, yes, but who have you been talking to? It's like, I don't know anyone with pain. It's like, come on, guys. Who do you know who can better, who wants to be healthier, live longer, have full health potential? Our ask is to share this news with them, okay? With that, I know that we went pretty deep in this workshop. You guys have already asked some great questions. Does anyone have any questions for me that I haven't been able to address, or they're still wondering, or what we talked about? Okay, I'm going to have you speak into this little mic, or who's got a question?
You can hear me.
Yep. It's really for the viewers that are watching there.
I wanted to know about this pink salt we're all hearing about. Is that one of the good things?
Like pink Himalayan salt?
The Himalayan salt.
Pink Himalayan salt is good, but again, I would need to look, because this ancient process as far as finding from an ancient cavern is relative new to me. This is what I found through me studying for the detox workshop. As far as I believe the Redmonds that I mentioned, they have a form of pink sea salt that you can get. They do. Okay, perfect. There you go. Sydney, it's Sydney. Yep.
Yeah, you didn't say anything about aluminum. And for a long time, I have looked for, now it's easy to find, aluminum-free deodorant.
Yes.
And I don't use aluminum foil. I haven't for a long time, because I think there's aluminum and stuff that's not.
Yes, that is a good point. That's one I missed on there. Good catch. So
the other thing, talked about laundry. I use those dryer balls.
Mhm.
I don't use fabric sheets.
Yep,
I've had 6 of them for years, and I never have any static.
that's great.
And I know I got them at like Whole Foods or a place like that. Yeah, you can get them anywhere now. It used to be hard, but I recommend those.
Thank you, Dr. Sydney. She's giving some good advice, guys.
I wanted to ask about detoxification and memory.
In memory, yep.
I just feel like because that we have so much toxins in our lives, that it has to do something with a lot of memory loss as we age. I also have heard, like my friend back here, about aluminum and especially aluminum cookware. That if you use it, that it increases your chance for early Alzheimer's disease.
For sure.
So I just wanted to ask about that.
No, you're 100% right. So going back to that heavy metal slide when we talked about some of those heavy metals, aluminum would be in that. That type of toxin is linked to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, for sure. Yep.
Hi. Locally, I've had a hard time finding like legitimate organic food other than maybe Whole Foods. Do you have any other options locally that it's, that it wasn't shipped here and it's like dirty, like Walmart and Target and those places?
Yeah.
Even Hy-Vee, they freeze all their fruits and vegetables. So do you have any other options that we can shop from?
Yeah. So one of our favorite stores is the people who've been to the workshop. What's one of my favorite stores? Costco or Whole Foods, right? Costco has a lot of great options, believe it or not. Thank you, Sydney.
Yeah, one of the things that have you looked into regarding cholesterol and the myelin around the brain, which is primarily cholesterol?
So I know when it comes to the nerves, Terry, the myelin sheath, is that what you're referring to?
The the cortex of the brain or the
Right. So when
made primarily of cholesterol.
Yeah, so the myelin, what he's referring to is that when we think about nerves, our nerves are covered in what's called myelin. And myelin, what it does is it helps the nerve impulses go faster. So I think of this like a Hot Wheels track, and you have the spinny wheels, and it makes it go faster. That's essentially what myelin is. As far as your question regarding myelin, I'm not sure if I follow.
I'm not sure that I was correct with myelin. It's the covering of the brain, which is, from what I've read, is primarily cholesterol or a cholesterol-based material, whereas anti-cholesterol medicines reduce that or eliminate that, and from what I understand is a great contributor to Alzheimer's and or other dementia type things.
Yes.
Can't remember.
There's Murray with his jokes again.
That's good. That's very true. Is there any rehabilitating that?
You know, that's
I know that's out of the realm of what you're talking about, but it's kind of on the edge.
So that is a really advanced and great question. So from my understanding, when it comes to dementia, patients who benefit the most, who have Alzheimer's, they see one of the biggest jumps in the memory when they eliminate dairy. That's one of the biggest benefits. Yep. Yep.
Why? What?
Oh, one second. What's your question?
Why is it? What's in dairy that contributes to that?
Off the top of my head, I don't have an answer for you, but
I just thought that was sounded random.
I believe it's a casein in dairy.
Yeah.
I believe it's a casein.
Now, I'm sorry, does that include raw dairy? I guess it contains it.
I don't have full confidence to give you an answer on that.
Okay.
I'll find an answer for you though.
The people that have the raw dairy that you go to get, do they know
Possibly.
that their product would promote?
Possibly. I know for sure when it comes to raw dairy, as far as a benefit for the stomach, it's much more beneficial for the stomach, but that's what I've mainly focused on. But as far as brain health, I mean, yeah, I'll look into that. John?
I just wanted to bring up something that was said earlier about like the juicing, like celery.
Yeah.
And finding places in Omaha to buy, food that's good and clean.
Yep.
Because I used to juice celery every day for a couple of years. And so I always got it from natural grocers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the reason that you want to do that and not Walmart or Target is because you're ingesting a whole stalk of celery per juice, and when you're buying it and it's been sprayed with chemicals, you're ingesting all those chemicals. So I never bought it from there. Always went to natural grocers, and there was multiple people that would be in there daily buying, bunches of it. And also just another thing that you could do that I did every day is I added an entire lemon to that juice, and because the celery by itself was just
it is. I told you it's bad.
Terrible. But I added a lemon. Lemon was.
But I bet that digestion was on point.
It made it work. Well, you got used to it, so But
that's a great point. This as John mentioned, like he juiced it, but again, not all juicing is bad. That celery juice is going to be low in fructose, so that is good. If anyone was confused by that.
When you do that with the lemon in the celery, do you use the rind also?
Yeah,
The whole lemon. Okay, good. Okay.
Nice. That's fiber.
There you go. We have another question.
If we like peanut butter on our celery, can we just dump some of that in as juicer?
Remember, peanut butter is
There is no good peanut butter out there.
okay. There is. Gary, what is the peanut butter that I recommended to you?
Not very good.
There is one peanut butter, and I'm blanking on the name. So
It's at Trader Joe's.
It's at Trader Joe's. So why am I blanking on this? It comes from Spain, and Valencia peanut butter. It comes from Valencia, Spain. And the reason why Valencia peanut butter is because Valencia, when you think about peanuts and they grow in the ground, there's a lot of, there can be a lot of mold spores with the peanuts that they don't necessarily get out of your peanut butter. So, and those, when you ingest mold spores, and if you think back to the Salem witch trials in the witch days, right? When people would consume peanuts, what would happen is what they hypothesized, it would lead to brain damage like mad cow's disease, and people would start talking in tongues, and I think they're possessed by a witch, right? This comes from the mold spores from peanuts, right? So Valencia peanut butter, you can get yourself some at Whole Foods, or excuse me, Trader Joe's. There you go. Anyone ever seen Jimmy Neutron? Probably not. Really? Okay, Jimmy Neutron, you know when he says brain blast and he thinks of it? That's what I just had about peanut butter. Cool. All right, guys. You guys have been awesome. Thank you for coming, and I hope you found this beneficial.